Welcome to the Florida State Podcast of Entrepreneurship and Innovation, where we showcase student entrepreneurs to learn about the startups they are working on, check in with alumni to hear about the companies they are building, and learn from seasoned entrepreneurs who have built amazing companies. Hosted by Mark McNeese, a serial entrepreneur who has started for-profits, nonprofits, social impact companies, and is currently entrepreneur in residence at the Moran School of Entrepreneurship.
Welcome, Dr. Fiorito.
Thank you, Mark.
I know you have told the story of the school thousands of times since you have been the director, but today I wanted to go at a little bit of a different angle. I wanted to approach it as you as not the founding director, but as the founding entrepreneur, and look at some of the challenges that you face, some of the places that you've pivoted, and some of your greatest accomplishments and where you want to go next. So without further ado, I just want to jump in and ask you, how did the idea of starting a school of entrepreneurship come about, and when and how did you become involved?
Thank you, Mark. So the idea of an entrepreneurship school actually began with President Moran, who, when he was here at Florida State University, got together faculty, students, and staff, community people, and asked them to come up with some big ideas for the university that they could go forward with. One of the big ideas was being an entrepreneurial university. So how is this done? At that time, I was a faculty member in the College of Business teaching entrepreneurship, and the dean at the time then decided to make a department to pull entrepreneurship out of the management department and to make it its own department.
Why would they want to do that?
To emphasize entrepreneurship. If we're going to be an entrepreneurial university, we needed a department to focus on that program. We'd always had a program since 2008 in the College of Business on entrepreneurship, but to make its own department gave it a little more stature, and it was important to show the university community how important it was.
Okay, great.
And so Mrs. Moran and the Moran Foundation had been giving Florida State University at least $1 million since 1995, and to focus on entrepreneurship. That's where the Moran Institute began, and so the Dean of the College of Business, President Thrasher when he was here, and the director of the Moran Institute, Randy Blass, got together for a meeting to decide what was the next steps. What was the next renewal? Were we just going to do the Moran Institute? And the dean of the College of Business at that time, Dean Mike Hartline, said, why don't we have a school of entrepreneurship?
And what year was that?
And that was in the summer of 2015.
Okay, summer of 2015. Outstanding. So, so at the Moran School, we teach our students that when they come up with a product or service, that they should have a value proposition. And I know you know what that is, but for our audience who may not know, a value proposition is basically, why would a customer pick your product or service over another product or service? So what's the value in what you are bringing? So thinking through the entrepreneurial lens, what is the Moran School of Entrepreneurship's value proposition for aspiring entrepreneurs?
If we look at the economy today, so many of our students and former students want to be their own boss. With mergers, acquisitions, people losing jobs, companies going out of business, it's very hard to maneuver through that landscape. And so many people feel that they work really hard, but they don't get rewarded for what they're doing. So having control of your own work life is definitely a goal for many of our students. So entrepreneurship is that value that people want to do, want to accept, and want to study in school. Can I actually be my own boss? And how does that work? And our school provides that assistance to them.
Fantastic. So a lot of times when we're talking about startups and a lot of angel investors and venture capitalists like to see startup launch teams versus individuals. And we try to encourage our students to really think on a larger scale too, like who do they need in order to launch this new venture? So when you were thinking about launching a brand new school, soon to be a college, obviously, you know, as wonderful as you are, you can't be everywhere, and so you needed to build a team, right? So, what were some of the key positions that you knew you needed to add, and how did you go about building your team?
So we had a group of, the department in the College of Business, the Entrepreneurship Department, came out of the College of Business in the summer of 16. And so I had a core team of 7 faculty members who had taught entrepreneurship. And they were my core team. And we worked together, the 8 of us, along with staff, to think about what we wanted. What were the courses? If we were going to be our own school, you know, what did we need to offer to the students? And all of those faculty had owned their own businesses, different businesses, online businesses, franchises, and so we had a wonderful opportunity, a vast amount of information, and we just worked together as a team to think about the curriculum and how we would structure it, and what are the core concepts that we felt our students needed to gain through this.
Would you say that one of the key differentiators of the Jim Moran School is that all the faculty members actually came out of the marketplace as entrepreneurs and business owners?
Exactly. So all of the faculty have had some kind of business experience, have owned their own businesses, and some of their businesses have failed. Which again is a great learning experience for our students, for them to tell this experience to them.
Absolutely. So to date, what has been one of the biggest wins in your mind for the school?
Well, I believe the biggest win is to see our students graduating and to talk with them and see how excited they are about the future. We do require internships for all of our students, and they're able to suggest, they're able to pave the way for whatever internship they want. So there's no restrictions, and I think they feel a great empowerment in planning their future and what they want to do. We've offered so many wonderful electives from faculty all over campus. And so our students are really able to get a really interdisciplinary education and be more in charge of where they want to be and the kind of information they want to learn. So to me, that's really exciting that they're, many of them, of course, are going into corporate America. They're learning and making mistakes on other people's money before they open their own businesses. Some are continuing their business ideas. So just that variety of opportunity and the self-confidence that our students have, that's the most exciting thing to me.
Fantastic. So you mentioned the students and different majors. How many different majors are there in the Jim Moran School, and how did those come about?
So we started with commercial entrepreneurship, and then I was approached by faculty in the College of Social Science and Public Policy about starting a social entrepreneurship major, which I think is one of the best ideas we've come up with, since social impact is such an important concept, and our students are very interested in helping others. So we started the school in the fall of 17 with commercial and social entrepreneurship, and then we were given the opportunity to move the merchandising program from the College of Human Sciences to the Jim Moran School. So the fall of 18, we've started retail entrepreneurship. And we just now have an opportunity for a STEM entrepreneurship major within the school that'll start very soon.
Exciting. And then you're also adding something very exciting in the fall, right? And what is that?
Correct, and that is a graduate program. So we're thrilled to have a textile and apparel entrepreneurship graduate program that'll start this fall.
So 2 years ago with the inaugural class, how many students were in the Jim Moran School?
We accepted 80 students, 60 students in commercial entrepreneurship and 20 in social entrepreneurship.
Okay. And to date, how many students are now involved with the Jim Moran School?
We have approximately 800 students. We have 500 majors, 800, the other 300 are those who have declared entrepreneurship. So we move fast.
So yeah, so would you consider this, or like in the industry, would this be considered rapid growth or expected growth? Where are you on the trajectory of expectation of growth of the school?
I think we're rocketing towards very, very fast growth.
Okay.
You know, and it's exciting.
So with growth comes challenges, right? And so what have been some of the biggest challenges that you have faced as the founder in managing that growth and getting the team together? So yeah, what are some of those challenges that you have faced?
So if we think about the fall of 17 with 7 faculty members and 1 staff member, and now we're at 19 full-time faculty members and 9 staff. So adding faculty and staff to keep the size of the classes small is a challenge. Although there are lots and lots of people who would love to teach our classes and love to work with our students, we are careful in selecting the people to be in front of our students. Oftentimes we ask people to adjunct for us, teach one class, just to see how they do, and I have had to fire people or just not renew them.
Release them for future opportunities.
Correct.
Yes.
That sounds lovely. That's exactly what we do. So I think the biggest challenge is getting the right team, a team that will work together and support each other, and doing it very quickly, and making sure that we all support one another, and that our total focus is on students and what they need and what we can do to help them.
So I had the opportunity and benefit of being one of the original faculty members, and I remember our first faculty member was in your home around your dining table, and then I think the next faculty fall faculty meeting was at the Jim Moran School or somewhere else, and there was lots and lots of people, right? And one thing that I've found as an entrepreneur in rapid growth companies or schools is creating a company culture. What are some of the things that you've done to create a culture? And what are some of the key values that you have in our school, and how do you transmit that to new faculty members?
I think one of the main things that I feel is very important, and that is transparency. I feel that communication is vital. Whatever I know, if someone else, a faculty member wants to know it, I share information. My door is always open. I believe in if people have a question or a concern, they ought to be able to get it answered right away. We have no level of administration between myself and the faculty. Again, I think that's vitally important. Most colleges have assistant deans, associate deans, department chairs. we're at the stage still of growth, and I want that communication to be open and transparent and easy. And I think that is important for all of us. We share ideas, we communicate, we act fast, we pivot, and I think us being close to each other in communication and values, I think is critical to our success.
You mentioned pivoting. So all startups pivot at some point. Just for our audience, a pivot is when you begin with some sort of an assumption of how your customers and how the market's going to respond, and you go out into the wild and you realize, hey, this isn't quite working out how we thought it was going to work out. So can you think of any pivots that you've had to make as a founder in order to address the rapid growth and success of the Jim Moran School?
One of the first pivots was a revelation that we had to develop all of our own courses. We had come out of the College of Business and we're very used to using core courses from the College of Business, marketing, accounting, finance. And so our first major pivot in the development of the school was developing our own core courses. I was concerned about this, but my faculty took up the charge and said, no, we'll develop those courses for what entrepreneurs actually need. So we looked at curriculum all over the country and decided amongst ourselves what courses we should teach. But after our first semester, we decided to change some of those courses, that maybe that's not exactly what we need. So we've been constantly changing curriculum. And just like any good entrepreneur, you read the signs, you talk to the people, and if you need to make a change, you do it. That's not typical of universities. Their curriculum is typically set in stone, or pretty much in wet cement. But we are very much moving and changing. If a course doesn't work, or if something needs to be a prerequisite for a course or not a prerequisite, we're able to make those changes. And we can only do that because of a very supportive university administration. So we're very, very lucky to be able to be very, very entrepreneurial within a corporation, basically.
And one of the neat things that I've been able to see in just my limited role is that now other universities are contacting us asking if they can look at our syllabi and asking us for our input. How do you view that? Is that an honor? Do you feel put upon? Do you feel like, hey, wait a second, this is our blood, sweat, and tears, and now you want to piggyback on us? How do you feel about that?
I feel it's a great honor. We are one of the first. Drexel, of course, was the first entrepreneurship program to come out of the College of Business, and I think I feel very flattered for my faculty too, who have developed these courses. I really do leave it up to them. If they want to share their syllabi with anybody else, it's up to them. But I think the more transparent we can be, because you can only put so much in a syllabus. It's really the personality of the faculty member, it's the interaction with the students, and we've learned through the Center of Advanced Teaching, learning how to focus our teaching on the student, have it learner-centered, that much of that hard work is not necessarily in the syllabus, but it's really in that interaction with the faculty member and the student, and trying to help them to discover the best way to learn.
Awesome. So in May, last May, you graduated 147 students, as the inaugural class. What was that like for you? Just seeing 147 students empowered with this degree that you shepherd from ideation to reality.
It was startling, to say the least. It was just so quick. It seemed a blink of an eye, 2 years passed. Probably the most joyous part of that was having Mrs. Moran actually come to Florida State University and to be able to shake the students' hands.
And there was a nice article about that in the Tallahassee Democrat this morning. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. And she was overjoyed. And that, to me, when you can have a donor who's really made this school possible, to have her so involved and so proud of all the students, and to have the students actually shake this person's hand, that's what made me so happy.
Well, I know it was a thrill for the students as well.
It was. Thank you.
So, what's next? You've won a major national award. You've graduated 147 students. Do you call it a day and go golfing, or is there what's the next BHAG, big hairy audacious goal? What's next for the Jim Moran School?
So I think we have several things that we're very excited about. One is really launching our graduate program. We're at a Research One university. It's imperative for us to have graduate programs. And so launching our first graduate program this fall is very exciting. Textile and apparel entrepreneurship that will focus on quality assurance in the textile industry. And there's lots of jobs at the master's level. So we're very excited about that. In the fall of 2020, we'll be launching 2 more graduate programs, hospitality and entrepreneurship. And if you think about all the Airbnbs and the boutique hotels, this is critical. And we're going to have 3 international components to that graduate program, master's program. And then we're also launching in the fall of 2020 entrepreneurship and product development.
Oh, wow.
And that will take people from ideation all the way to realizing the product. So I think graduate programs are very, very important to me to make sure that we get those done well. And then also building out our undergraduate program, building the STEM undergraduate program, and maybe one other major that we're not 100% sure of yet, so I'm not going to reveal it at this point, but we will be working on other undergraduate programs.
Well, fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Fiorito, for taking the time to look at the Jim Moran School from a different perspective that nobody else gets to see except you, and sharing those experiences with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining FSU's Entrepreneurship Podcast. I'm Mark McNeese, your host. If you would like to be notified of future episodes, please subscribe via your favorite podcast player. Also, if you enjoyed the podcast, please take a moment to share it on social media, give it a 5-star rating, and review it on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. This will help us get the word out to other entrepreneurs that FSU's Entrepreneurship Podcast has launched.